I am Beth from Amelia Scott Designs, and welcome to my College of Arts and Letters, where I give you some monogram ideas and more. Today, I will be using the flower monogram from our Arts and Letter pouch, and this includes on both sides, it is quilted, and it has a zipper closing, and it is actually lined with no raw edges on the inside. I'm going to show you several things today, and I will start by showing you how to cut the zipper and place the accent tabs on either end of the zipper. A lot of people get really concerned when it comes time to cut a zipper because maybe they've had some really bad things happen to them, but we'll show you how it works and works very well. We have some tips and tricks to share that we think that will be very helpful for the embroidery part. And we have a special deal coming at the end of our broadcast. So at this time, if you will join me over at the cutting table, we'll get started. So to get started, you want a zipper that is longer than the final size of the zipper. And we know that our zipper length that we need is 9.5 inches. So this is probably what, a 12-inch zipper? 14-inch, okay. And we take a 4-inch square piece of fabric and we fold it in half, press it, and then we fold the two edges into the center. And so we have this strip, okay. I'm going to move this out of the way. And then on the zipper that we are going to put the tabs, the accent tabs, we cut the stop off. That's the end, that's the stop off. At this point, we're going to take our folded 4-inch square and we're going to place it inside the strip, and we want it snug right up against the fold. And then we have this lovely clip that's going to hold everything together because it gets wiggly, and so you want to have a real firm hold there. All right, then the next thing we do is run a row of stitching, and what I need to say to you now is that you need to have a nylon zipper. When you, although most metal zippers I think are long gone for this type of sewing, but make sure if you're delving into your old supply of zippers that you have a nylon zipper and not a metal zipper, because you're going to be sewing through the teeth. All right, so as you can see on this one, I have trimmed it close to the zipper, and now it's time to decide on what's the final length and to put the accent piece on this side. So the first thing I need to do is I need to get my zipper tab down past the halfway mark, I think, because we don't want to cut off the zipper with this tab up here and then we're going to start all over again. So that's the next step. Then you're going to put the edge of your base tab along the 0 mark, and you're going to come to 9.5, and you're going to cut off at 9.5. Okay. At that point, you're going to do the same thing with the 4-inch square. You're going to make yourself a nice tab by folding it in half, folding to the center, no raw edges that way, and then you're going to place it over the end of your top of your zipper, okay? And you're going to stitch. And the suggestion is that you stitch a couple times so it really sticks. It does not come unraveled for you. So then what you can do is you can close it back up, and then you go, and I would trim this off, okay? And then you can just line it up with the edge of your zipper, or I'm sorry, with the edge of your bag, and stitch it down. And you've got your accent tabs in your pouch. So that's very simple to do and not very frightening if you look at it that way. So Christine, when she was starting to plan this new pattern, she came up with the idea that, we needed to have a ladies' luncheon and have really some uses for this design other than just a tab, or I'm sorry, a pouch. And she came up with a lovely idea of having a wonderful ladies' lunch, and she did that for us yesterday. Isn't that beautiful? How it was all laid out, and she gave us. We had some really great food, and what she has done for you is she has actually put this in your downloads, the recipes for this event. And so we had a mini brie sandwich and we had blueberry strudel muffins, and there were extras, and I got to take them home, and my husband loved them too. There was summer chicken salad, and now the other thing that there was mimosas, and we didn't have mimosas yesterday because if we'd had mimosas, I would have had to sleep the rest of the afternoon away. So we had iced tea, but I'm here to tell you that I have had the mimosas here before with Christine and Mark, and they're delicious. So they're worth a try. Now, she made the recipe cards in a recipe card size, and so you can cut it out, put it in your file, or put it in your recipe book, however you keep your recipes. And there on the screen is how you can download those. Marcus put that on for us. Okay? Now, the idea for the tea sort of came through with the idea that, we need to start getting together. We've had a time where we've kind of stayed away from people. We've worn masks, all the rest of the stuff. And now it's time that we actually get together and we enjoy each other's company. So the tea sort of evolved with that. And we thought, well, okay, if you have this tea party, you want to have some fine, pretty napkins and monogram your napkins. So we've come up with the idea that not only can you use the design from the pouch, but you can, on the pouch, you could use it on a tea towel, okay, or on a napkin. Now, before we go much further, I want to talk to you about monograms. And a monogram can come three ways. It can be a 3-letter monogram, which would have your last name in the center and your first name to the left and your middle name or your maiden name to the right. It could be a 2-letter monogram, which usually is just your first and last name next to each other. And you can have a 1-letter monogram, which is just usually your last name, but some people put their first name also. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I am a monogram lady. I have loved monograms ever since I was a young girl. And the joke in our family is don't leave your dirty underwear on the floor because mom will monogram it. So that's how much I love monograms. So, as we know, the flower monogram was designed for the bag, but I like to be able to use a design in another place. And the napkin is a perfect place. The tea towel is a perfect place. My feeling is that you get more value out of your dollar for this design. So I like to use things in many, many places. One of the things you're going to need if you are going to use it on a napkin or you are going to use it on a tea towel is that you're going to need a template. So a template of the design is very helpful. And now I'd like to show you how I took this design, made a template, and placed it on the napkin in the hoop. If you have software that will print out a template for you, wonderful. Use it. You feel comfortable with it, use it. But if you don't and you'd like to try a template, there is a free software program called Embroidery Tool Shed that you can get on our website under products, and go to free products and it's right there. And did I say free? It's free. We're now going to show you a video that will show you how to print out a template from the Tool Shed software. So Mark's going to do that for you now, and then you'll feel more comfortable about doing that.
Here is how you create a template in Embroidery Toolshed. It's very easy. Now, I have already launched Embroidery Toolshed, so I'm just going to jump there. And I am now going to open a file that I've moved to my desktop. we're going to work with the Flower C embroidery file here. You can see that I've been working with a few of the other files from our Edge to Edge Pro book. So I've copied those to my desktop. I always make a copy of the file that I'm working with and move it to my desktop so that it's easy to find and so that if I make a mistake, I don't accidentally mess up the original file. Of course, if you do make an error with your original file, you can always download them from our site again. So I'm going to select the file I want, and I'm going to open it. Here we go. I will turn on the 3D view to make it look pretty. Now, for printing, I just come up to bring my mouse cursor up to the File menu on the menu bar. I click that, and then I always like to use Print Preview because that lets me double check some important settings. So I will click Print Preview. Here it is now, and it shows a preview of what the document will look like. If yours doesn't look exactly like this, then bring your mouse cursor up to the Settings button and click that. There are only 3 settings that you need to turn on under Show. You need to make sure that the thing will show actual size of the diagram of the design. That's important. You want to show the crosshairs, and you want to show the stitches because having crosshairs in the middle of an empty white page, not so good. So you can turn off anything else that's on here. If any of the other options here are turned on, go ahead and deselect them. Once I've done that, I come to the OK button, click that, and now I'm ready to print. And I just come up here to the print button, click that, and it will let me select my printer and print. That's all there is to it.
All right. So here are 2 templates, identical templates that we have printed out. This is the sheet from your printer. And then all we do is trim it out. It does not have to be exact, but just around the circle. I'm sorry, I'm a old teacher that has to hold things up, and that's not how the camera is set up. So after you do that, then the next thing you have to do is you have to decide where you want your monogram to be, where your frame and your monogram to be. So you could have it folded as a rectangle, or we chose to do as a triangle. So the first thing I did was I needed to have a center point, and the center point was done by pressing a nice crisp fold right down the center from the point up to the center of the napkin. All right. And then I took my template and I used the vertical line of the template and I put it down on the line that I just pressed. So I have it nice and centered on that section of the napkin. Now, I need to determine how far up I want this design to go, or how close to the border do I want it to go. And the other thing I want to say to you, after you make that determination, you're going to put a pin in it, and you need to take a measurement because you have 7 more napkins to make and you want them to all look the same. So don't be a Beth and forget to do that, and then you're always at the end trying to figure out, okay, where did I put this? So measure it, make sure it's where you want it. After you've done that, you are going to put stabilizer in your hoop. And with the stabilizer, you're going to take a pen and you are going to just mark inside the hoop from the vertical top, vertical bottom, horizontal left or horizontal right, finding the center. Now notice that I have not hooped my napkin. We're going to float this napkin. And how we're going to float this napkin is we are going to lay it out one thickness. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to line up. I didn't pin real straight here. Let me get that back on here a little better. I'm going to line up this vertical fold with the line that's marked on my hoop. And I can see through, I can see where it's at. And then I'm going to pull this up, and I want the horizontal line to match up with the horizontal line of my template. All right. Now, the next thing we do is we have basically medical tape. It's very, very strong, but it's thin. And if it gets caught in any kind of stitching, it's not a problem to get out. Okay. And I just put it down here. So at this time, Christine is going to give you some tips about actually embroidering out this design.
So hi, today I want to share with you 3 tips that I think you're going to find really helpful. Maybe some of you already know these tips, but if you don't, I think you're really going to find them to be helpful. The first thing, when you are doing a napkin, I always tape this entire edge down really well, because although in this design, when I put my basting stitches on, it's just going to go around the design. But sometimes the basting stitches actually go off the napkin over the tip and then back up into the napkin, and it can get caught underneath that napkin if you don't have tape. The tape will help that presser foot just ride up right back onto the napkin. Now you probably can't see my tape, but believe me, it's there and it's messy. I got it all over the place. But what I am using is a 3M micropore tape, and it's basically medical tape. You can get it in a drugstore. It's very thin. It's about $2 if you buy a single roll in the grocery store, maybe $2.50. But if you go on Amazon, you can get 12 rolls of it for $9. That's less than $1, and it's really good for stitching over because it's really easy. It doesn't tear your stitches apart because it's a very thin tape, yet it holds. So just a handy tip there. So the next tip I want to tell you is basting. Now, when I do a basting stitch, my machine, maybe yours doesn't do this, but my machine, and I have a baby lock, Solaris. So anybody with a Solaris, you're going to have this. When you get, when it does a basting stitch, it starts with a knot. It goes all the way around the design. It comes back up and does a real doozy of a knot that's a booger bear to take out. So I have eliminated that altogether. So when I do a basting stitch, I let it baste around, and right as it gets back up to the corner where it's about to end, and it starts that knot, I stop the machine, I hit the scissors, and I advance to the next stitch, so I don't have to do that. So I'm going to show that right now. So I'm in, like, I brought my design into embroidery. So here it was in embroidery. I bring it into embroidery, and then I just go to the layout button. There is a little basting function right here. It's got a flower with a little, like a long stitch going around it. So I'm going to select that. And you can see it puts a box around your design as soon as you do that. So I am ready to go now. I'll go back to layout. You can see my first stitch out is going to be that basting line. So here we go. I'm going to base that down. I'm going to actually move my template because I don't need it anymore. Here it goes around. Nice big stitches, easy to move. And now I'm going to stop it. All right, I'm going to hit my scissors. And that helps me to avoid that second knot. So it's much easier to pick all that stuff out. Okay, then I'm just going to go and advance to the next color, which will be the green little wreath. Okay, that was my second tip. Now my third tip is I'm going to actually let this stitch out real quick. And how long is it going to take? Yeah, I'm going to let this stitch out real quick, and then I'll show you my third tip. So this is the third tip I want to give to you. Napkins, we always want them to be pretty on the back because, you know, you want it pretty on the front, but your guest is going to be putting this in their lap, bringing it up to their face, so on and so on. So you want the back to be pretty too. One thing I do is I match my bobbin to the same color of thread that I have on the top. That makes it at least be in the same color. So when they just flip it over real quick, it still looks pretty. The second thing I do is when I am done with a color, so I just finished the light green here, I take the hoop out of the machine. I flip it over, and then I just trim all these little threads back here to keep my backing nice, the back side nice, because what can happen sometimes is these long tails here, they can get tangled up in the next color and then it gets messy. So if you just get rid of those in between, I know it's kind of like a little extra step that we don't normally do in embroidery, but since the back is going to be showing, it's a nice thing to do. You can also do that on the back of towels. That will help your towels also be pretty. Okay, so that's kind of cleaned up there. And then I would put it back into the machine. I might trim some jump stitches. There are a few jump stitches here on this one. Up here. Those out of the way. It will also make it real easy when you're getting ready to remove the stabilizer, because most of this will already be gone, all your jump stitches, and you'll have just a real easy time tearing away the stabilizer. All right, well, those are my tips. I hope they're helpful, and I will turn it back over to Beth.
So you have stitched it out, beautifully stitched it out. Again, it's floating. So now all you need to do is take out your basting stitch and then remove it from the hoop and remove the stabilizer from the back. And you have a beautiful monogrammed napkin. So, as I said earlier, we have some good deals for you today. And the deal we have today is we are selling this bag of polyester 40 weight embroidery thread for $14.88. I'm sorry, wrong number, $49.88. Sorry. I just saw Mark's head hit the on that one. Okay. Retail value is $59.88, and we're selling it for $49.88 usually, sale price. But today, because you have joined us in this first Zoom class, we have an additional $5 off while the supply lasts. All you have to do is put the code college1 in. That's capital COLLEGE, no space, number 1. All right. And again, it's $49.88 minus $5. Now, I want to show you what's in the bag so you get a better idea. We have 3 lovely pinks, light, medium, and dark, great for shading. We have an orange color, and then we have a very vibrant yellow. The last in the yellow range is this lovely buttercream. This is not white. This is kind of a buttercream color. Very, very pretty. Over here we have blue, and we have 2 greens, again for shading. And then I love this lavender, another pretty floral lavender. We've also included black. We all need black and brown, and those are the colors that will be used in your Celtic pouch if you would make the Celtic pouch. So that's your deal for making the floral pouch. This is what you need, okay? And I understand we have a question. Yes.
Because it was a waffle.
Yes, it's a waffle towel, so we use the same tearaway on the waffle towel as we did on the napkin. Now, when we did the waffle towel, though, we would have had a topper on it. Being a towel, you always put a topper. And that's the stuff that kind of looks like saran wrap. Water soluble, spritz, it goes away. It's great stuff, but you need it on a towel because that has a nap. And if you don't put it on, what happens is all those stitches get sucked down into the nap of the towel. And I could go on, you wanted a topper on corduroy, on denim, all sorts of stuff. So you do want a topper. Anything else? Great questions. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I love this. I love these techniques, so it's very easy for me to talk about them.